All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, the rivalry between the San Francisco Giants and Los Angeles Dodgers is one of the oldest in Major League Baseball, and it spans two different coasts, dating back to when the Giants played at the Polo Grounds in Manhattan, while the Dodgers played at Ebbets Field in Brooklyn. Now, these two storied franchises have found themselves in some epic battles over the years, while in recent years, these two giants have, no pun intended, have run the National League West. Now, since 2010, the Dodgers and Giants have combined for four World Series titles, while Los Angeles has won the National League West in each of the last 8 years. But there's a new wrinkle that is ready to be added to this rivalry with the postseason right around the corner. The Giants and Dodgers find themselves on a collision course to meet in the postseason for the first time in their storied rivalry. Both the Giants and Dodgers are battling for that coveted NLS title, while the loser is going to have to settle for the top wild card spot in the NL. Now, for most of this season, it was a three-team race in the National League between the Dodgers, Giants, and San Diego Padres. But with the Padres having tapered off recently, it's the Dodgers and Giants who are getting it on right now for the division crown. Now, entering play today, the Dodgers and Giants find themselves tied for first place in the National League West. They are set to clash tonight to begin a three-game series, and this is the last time that the Dodgers and Giants are going to face each other this year. You look at the Giants for the most part, and they've really overachieved coming out of nowhere. A lot of people, myself included, did not expect the Giants to be as competitive as they have been this season. But you know what? The turnaround for the Giants, it is a great story for Major League Baseball. While on the flip side, the Dodgers, they are the defending World Series champions. They've been to the Fall Classic in 3 of the last 4 years, and they are poised for another run at the title. And, you look inside of this rivalry. The Dodgers Giants is the West Coast version of Red Sox Yankees or Cardinals Cubs. And we've seen those longtime rivals get it on in the postseason. And in the case of the Red Sox and Yankees, they've met multiple times in the postseason, and it's been great. And I think right now what we're seeing, this is the making for good theater. Because at the end of the day, like I always say, sports is also entertainment. And you look at it, what makes sports go? It's rivalries. And, you think about so many epic battles that these teams have had. Of course, when the Dodgers and Giants played in New York City, it was only, you win the National League, you go on to the World Series. So, of course, those games meant so much. And, you think about it for so many years after 1969, it was a situation where, the winner of the NL West met the winner of the NL East. So, obviously the Dodgers and Giants weren't going to meet in the postseason. We saw the playoffs expanded in the mid 90s to add a wild card. We had three divisions at that point. But still, the Dodgers and Giants in the 90s, they never really got there around the same time. We've seen the Dodgers and Giants during the 2010s, make the postseason in the same year. But unfortunately, they never met up. Good possibility this time around because whoever wins this division, like I've said before, they're probably going to have the best record in the National League. And of course, they're going to get the wild card winner in the divisional round. And you look at it right now, these two teams are really on a collision course. I'll say it right now. The Giants need to win the National League West more than the Dodgers do. And the reason why, the Dodgers are a deeper team. More importantly, the Dodgers have more pitching depth. And when I say that, and that's not to take anything away from the Giants pitching so far this year, but because their guys have really stepped up. But it's a scenario what I'm focusing on is, they have more guys with postseason seasoning. Not only that, it's also a situation where if the Giants go to the wild card round and they win that game, having to throw out their best pitcher for the wild card game is going to hurt them a little bit more than it would the Dodgers. If you're the Dodgers right now and you have to go to that wild card game and your manager, Dave Roberts, you have the ability to either go with Max Scherzer for that game or Walker Bueller. And then you can flip around and you still have either Scherzer or Bueller, whoever did not pitch in that wild card game, available for the divisional round should you advance. And then, of course, we can bring in Julio Urias and Clayton Kershaw right behind them. And so, like, you really don't lose as much in your rotation. But you look at it nonetheless, I think, it's going to be a battle down the stretch. Like I said, winning this division is going to be a little bit more important for the Giants than it is the Dodgers. You look at the remaining schedules for both of these clubs, and it's a toss up. You really can't say who's going to have an easier schedule. I know that right after this 3-game set with Los Angeles, San Francisco, they're going to hit the road for 6 games, 3 in Denver versus the Rockies, who are not good, 3 versus the Cubs, who have mailed it in. But the Cubs have been fighting with their young guys, as I did expect. The Giants still have 3 series with the San Diego Padres, and you never know what you're going to get out of the Padres because they're still in the mix, even though they've tapered off. They're still in the mix for that final wild card spot in the National League. And you look at it, it's a situation for the Giants. They definitely want to go out there and try to take care of their business. On the flip side with the Dodgers, once they finish this 3-game set in Frisco with the Giants, they're on the road for 4 games in St. Louis, and then they have the Padres at home. They got a couple of series with the Diamondbacks, series with the Rockies. They also have to face the Reds on the road, and the Reds right now are a very competitive team because they've gotten hot. And then also once you factor in the slump that the Padres have been on, now the Padres find themselves battling with the Reds for that final wild card spot. But definitely, again, getting back to this division battle, it's so important because the thing is, anything can happen in that wild card game. I mentioned the Reds. The Reds have been playing some great baseball. With their bats, anything can happen. And, you could find yourself in a bad predicament if you're one of these teams that doesn't win this division. The Padres, they have been slumping, but you never know what you're going to get out of this club. And then the slump by the Padres not only has allowed the Cincinnati Reds, to make up some ground, it's also allowed teams like the St. Louis Cardinals, Philadelphia Phillies, and New York Mets to also hang around and have some confidence and belief in themselves to try to get to the postseason. So it's one of those where you can have a great record going into the postseason. Don't get me wrong, but it's how you're playing entering the playoffs. And you can get one of these teams that might have only won 85 games during the regular season, but they're playing some good baseball coming down the stretch, and they could catch you in that wild card game. Anything is possible. Hence why it's the wild card. Hence why some people say that the playoffs are a crapshoot. But nonetheless, there is a possibility that both of these clubs could win 100 games, and one of these teams is going to be one and done in the postseason. This year with the playoffs really makes me go back and think about certain years. You look at 2015 when the St. Louis Cardinals won the National League Central when they won 100 games. But then you had both the Pirates and Cubs that were relegated to the wild card game. If my memory doesn't fail me, I think Pittsburgh won 98 games that year and Chicago won 97, but they had to settle for the wild card game. You think about, I want to say it was 2002 with the American League West when it was so deep. You had Oakland, you had Anaheim, who both made the playoffs, and then you had Seattle, who won more than 90 games, but they didn't make the playoffs because in those days, of course, it was just one wild card. And then prior to the wild card era, you think back to what a lot of people are going to say is the last real pennant race in Major League Baseball in 1993, where the Giants and the Braves were duking it out for the NL West. Yes, the Braves did used to play in the NL West once upon a time. And I want to say Atlanta won 104 games that year, while San Francisco won 103. And of course, since you had to win your division to make the postseason in those days, San Fran had to sit home. So nonetheless, I think this is great that these two teams are battling it out like this. And for me, I look at it and I say, hey, the better team is going to win. The Giants have been in the mix all season long. I've said it before and I will say it again. I think the Dodgers are going to find a way to win this division. And, you think back to what both of these teams did at the trade deadline. We saw San Francisco acquire Chris Bryant from the Chicago Cubs. He's been an immense help to their lineup. And they also got Buster Posey back from injury. And then on the flip side for the Dodgers, you pick up Max Scherzer and Trey Turner from the Washington Nationals. And of course, Scherzer just gives them another stud in their rotation. I've talked about him before. He's closing in on 3,000 strikeouts. He's also looking to win his second World Series championship in the last 3 years, as is Trey Turner, because both of these guys were a part of that Nationals club that won it all in 2019. So you look at the Dodgers; they still have plenty of depth in their lineup. You think about Mookie Betts, a former MVP, Max Muncy, Cody Bellinger, Justin Turner, just to name a few. So it's going to be a situation where, it's going to be a battle. I just think that the Dodgers, I said it before, they were going to find a way to win this division. I think that they are going to win this division. It's a situation where I think that they have the better overall team. And even for the sake of argument, if the Dodgers were to get swept this weekend in Frisco, I think that they have the ability with this team to come back and try to make up some more of that ground. So we're going to see what's going to happen. But nonetheless, this is a great story for baseball. I think it is a great story for these two fan bases and West Coast baseball as a whole. I talked about the Dodgers, Giants, and Padres all in contention earlier this year, and it looked like it was going to be a battle on I-5. You still have that I-5 battle, but it's just down to two teams right now. So this is a very important series that begins tonight in Frisco for both of these clubs. Let's see who comes out on top. Each of these teams is definitely postseason bound, but only one can claim the title of National League West champion for 2021. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.